Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin.
And I'm your co-host, Aaron.
And this week, we don't have a guest, but we're covering a movie that we probably should have done very early on, but I'm kind of happy that we did it now, uh, especially during the time that we're doing it, because we're doing a lot of, well-known stuff, and this is definitely a well-known film.
Mm-hmm.
Some people really love it. Some people really hate it. And to quote Stephen King, fuck Stanley Kubrick. Now, that's not my view on the film, but there are some things that do kind of grind my gears. But I just really like that quote because after this movie was made, Stephen King went and actually did his own version with Mick Garris and made the TV miniseries, which I was trying to find. I really wanted to watch it before we did this review because I've never seen it. And it's not on streaming. It's very rare to find a DVD copy of it. I couldn't find anything on YouTube. Someone uploaded, I think, the second part that's like an hour and a half long, but it was like shit quality, and I didn't want to jump into something, halfway through.
Yeah.
And this is a very long movie, but just kind of judging on how long the second part of the miniseries was, it was much longer. So it was a two-parter, and they were both an hour and a half. Then it would have outdid this movie by a half hour, I think, which is nuts.
Now, is the miniseries telling the same story, or?
Yeah, it's actually book. It's from book to screen. Well, this movie was book to somewhat screen because Stephen King didn't really have any play in writing the screenplay. I think you could probably pull it up on IMDb. I know Stanley Kubrick was one of the writers, but there was another writer, and I don't remember. Was it Diane something?
Diane Johnson.
Diane Johnson, yeah.
Yep.
So Stephen King wasn't really, really associated with this project other than kind of giving him the okay to do it because obviously it's off of his material. And this is around the same time, I think, Carrie, came out, or maybe a couple years after Carrie came out. But yeah, I really do enjoy this movie. There's a couple of gripes we'll get into later on after watching it last night for the 10th time that I never really picked up on until really sitting down as a reviewer or podcaster.
I feel like it's one of those movies too, though. Every time you watch it, you notice little things each time.
For sure.
Especially as a reviewer now, you see it differently.
Yeah, and really picking the brains of the movies and going behind the scenes instead of just sitting as a casual viewer, but oh yeah, that was cool. It's definitely different, and that's kind of why I really like doing this quote unquote job. Is getting different perspectives from all the community and even from yourself, and be like, wow, I never picked up on that before. And sometimes it can be really good, and sometimes it can be really bad. But yeah, I do enjoy this movie. But Aaron, to kick it over to you, I know you've seen this movie quite a few times, but what's your thoughts on it before we jump into it? Just quick 1-2.
Well, as you know, it's a long movie, but there's a lot to it as well. I wouldn't say it's a slow movie. Yes, but no. When it picks up kind of fast. It's every time I watch it, I kind of have mixed feelings about it, but I love it at the same time. I just can't get over how much of a fucking dickhead Jack is.
Yeah, and this is around a time I think when Jack was doing a lot of those over eccentric, roles. I think he was doing this was I think a couple years before. Well, maybe not a couple, but within the next 5 or 6 years, I think is when he was doing Batman. He was doing a Joker, I think. And then he was doing other offshoot horror stuff that was very very B movie-esque stuff. And so this is around the time where I think he was starting to gain popularity in film, because I think he started acting in late 50s, early 60s, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I think he did some stuff for oh crap, he did it with I can't think of his name right now. Boris Karloff. He did some stuff with Boris Karloff.
Oh, okay.
So he did a film with him, and then they made another film out of the set that they were doing that was like super shit. I wish I remember the name of the movie, but you can go watch it. I think they made it public domain, so you can actually go watch it if you wanted to on YouTube for free. But yeah, he was doing a lot of weird stuff. So I think this is like his first like real big role in doing something that would like really show off what he can do and how he can kind of just go from somebody who I wouldn't say is happy, but is like there as a person and then being completely disconnected, and completely turned by whatever the fuck happens throughout this whole movie, and we'll get into it.
But I love it because of Jack Nicholson, and like I've never read the book, so I can't like compare the two.
Book's not bad.
I've heard though that, like I said, like we were just talking about this, people have some gripes with the way it was adapted, and I did kind of spoiled the ending of the book myself to see kind of compare it, but
nothing wrong with that.
But as a horror movie alone, like book aside, I think it's pretty great though. I mean, it could be a little shorter, I think, but
yeah, it's like what 2 hours, 2.5 hours, just about.
Actually, I think it was 2 hours and 23 minutes to be exact, or something like that. But
yeah, something weird. But yeah, it's a great film. I've seen this multiple times. I remember seeing this somewhat young, not super young. I definitely saw it like maybe around the same time I accidentally saw I Spit in Your Grave when I was like 13 or 14. But I saw this with my mom and my stepfather. It was kind of like a family thing because it was on TV all the time. This is one of those films that was like always on TV. Not even just around Halloween time, just like casually on like AMC or TNT sometimes.
Just popped up.
So it was like, oh, let's just throw this on. It's like, let's kill some time. But I think the TV version, was shortened to like maybe like an hour and 15 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. This is like such a long fucking time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Jack Nicholson is great. Shelley Duvall is great, which I know a lot of people would know her from, Popeye when she did that with Robin Williams. I always forget the boy's name who plays Danny because he does a really good job too.
He does.
I always like to point it out with like child actors and how they can kind of just sell the roles, even though they're not as experienced, obviously, as like older people, and they have to play roles a little bit differently. But yeah, he does a great job. Everybody in this film does a great job. I think Stanley Kubrick just put too much of the Kubrick spin on it, but it's a great film. But Aaron, if you want to run into anything you got on IMDb over there, any cool facts or whatnot, go right ahead.
Let's see. Well, so for the infamous scene of the door breaking down, apparently the prop door was too weak for Jack Nicholson because he had been a volunteer firefighter, so they had to end up building a stronger door.
Oh wow!
He's a big dude anyway, though.
There's a fun fact about that. Actually, that the whole scene of her in the bathroom. I don't think she knew, from what I read and the footage that was shown, is that she didn't really know what was really going on, and he was really hitting that door hard as fuck with her screaming. Those are real screams, like her. I love when they do
stuff like that during filming because you get that authentic.
Because she was getting Danny, putting Danny out the window, and then she goes over to the wall. So she was probably thinking that maybe he was just gonna yell. But Stanley and the rest of the crew, I think, kind of just kept it a secret and be like, okay, go fucking slam that door now, break it down, but make sure Shelly's against the wall. So there was obviously communication from both sides, like saying that you need to stay there. Something is about to happen, and like those screams, and after watching it last night and like really thinking of that, I'm like, wow, this is a very powerful scene.
Right.
Holy fuck.
Let's see. Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall have expressed open resentment against the reception of this film, feeling that critics and audiences credited Stanley Kubrick solely for the film's success without considering the efforts of the actors, crew, or the strength of Stephen King's underlying material. Nicholson and Duvall had said that the film was one of the hardest of their careers. In fact, Nicholson considers Duvall's performance the most difficult role he's ever seen an actress take on.
Wow.
Duvall also considers the performance the hardest of her life, which, I mean, that is considering how much her character takes on, and just like how much that role must be, you know.
And like even other roles that she's done, I haven't really seen a lot of her work, but it's been like kind of lighthearted, not really comedy, but a little bit of like drama, stuff like that. Nothing so like blown up to where she has to, from a split second, go from being okay to completely breaking down.
Yeah.
And you see it, and like she sells everything. I love Jack, but Shelley I really think fucking steals the show on this for me. And obviously Danny's really good too. But
she's like the main protagonist, though, you know, and so like she really does, like,
she's the protector, man. You know, it's and she does everything she possibly can as a mother, and she was doing all the great, like the good and great things to do as a mother, especially having an unhinged father, who in the past has done things due to drinking and stuff like that. I mean,
and talking like horror logic too, she almost did everything right too.
Yeah, exactly. Like she locked the door. She
fucking knocked him down the stairs,
bonked him on the head. Yeah.
Had the ghost not been there to fucking, you know, let him out, she would have been good. I mean, she was good anyway, as far as we know, but she was. I don't think she was ever really harmed in this, was she? I don't think she was ever hit. I think she got close, but I don't think she ever was actually hit. No.
Danny, though, definitely has been through the ringer a little bit.
Oh, yeah. To get Jack Nicholson in the right agitated mood, he was fed only cheese sandwiches for 2 weeks.
Man. Way to fucking, like, get someone on the brink of breaking. Wow.
He's not someone you want to be on the, you know, his angry side, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Receiving in throwing the tennis ball inside the hotel was Jack Nicholson's idea. The script originally only specified that Jack is not working.
You know, I was kind of thinking about that scene too. Like, isn't he damaging the walls?
Yeah, right? I was waiting for somebody to come out and just, hey, what are you doing?
It's like he's throwing that thing fucking hard too, you know?
Right. Shelley Duvall suffered from nervous exhaustion throughout filming, including physical illness and hair loss. Damn.
Yeah, that's a stressful fucking gig, dude. Wow. All right. You want to pull up
some Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, that was off by 1 minute. 2 hours 22 minutes.
Damn it, fired.
All right. Fired. So, The Shining is certified fresh,
which I'm not surprised.
And the critic score is 85%.
Okay, that's
take
pretty
a whack
good.
At the audience score, 2,500. 250.
I'm sorry. It's 93.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, should I just play? But no, I saw it. 93 for audience. Okay. I think this is probably because a lot of people don't know that there was a miniseries that was made that was more, adapted to the book, considering Mick and Steve both wrote the screenplay together.
Yeah.
And as anybody who doesn't know, Mick Garris has done a lot of stuff with Stephen King. He's done a lot of movies. He's done The Stand. He's done Silver Bullet. He's done Sleepwalkers. He's done so many things, like not just in like the Stephen King realm, but everywhere. He is great. Listen to his podcast, Postmortem with Mick Garris. It's great. He's had Stephen King on there. That's where I got that quote, the fuck Stanley Kubrick quote, because they go into not like super depth of the film, but they do talk about it a little bit, because you kind of can't talk to Stephen King without talking about Stanley Kubrick's version of The Shining, because he likes to bring that up. But it's great. Make sure you guys go check that one out. Any bad reviews or anything over there, Aaron?
So we got some critic reviews, mostly good. First negative one says Kubrick is a master of visual images and many of the scenes displays brilliance, but much of the suspense ends in anticlimax, and Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall seem overextended in trying to maintain the terror. Which I could see that. But
and the music.
Yeah, the music is just so much.
Yeah, I want to get
nothing.
I want to get into that right now because it's really on my mind. Before
it's funny that you mentioned it too, because like I was thinking the same thing when I was watching it. I'm like, damn, that's fucking loud. I'm like,
yeah. So
it's just nothing is happening.
Obviously, everybody knows the iconic score that's like in the very beginning of the film, right? That's fine. It does come and go in certain spots of the film, but whenever there's like nothing going on, that it's like, let's throw music and we're gonna make it loud as fuck. So when other people are talking, you have to really pay attention to what they're saying because the music is so loud, and then the music's also trying to build all this tension when there's no tension.
Yeah.
And like I've never realized that from all the other times that I have watched this movie until last night. This is the critic or reviewer or podcaster brain that I have gotten since doing the show. Is you pick up on things like we were saying, and that's definitely one of them that I was like picking up on. Was like, why is there music right here going on for so long and there's not really much going on? Like, I'd be loud like trombones and drums and
you get
violins.
That like I'm not sure what the proper term for is when you get that like screeching on the
the stingers and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll be doing that while it's like focusing on like an image or just somebody's face for like a long period of time, and it's just like, we don't need that. we could have done with less of that and more of something else, you know. Mm-hmm. Music's good in films. It obviously helps direct you into
how you're supposed to feel.
Yeah, but there's definitely points in this film where I feel like it's trying to make me feel uneased when what's going on is not an uneasy thing that's going on, you know. But that's like one of my main gripes with this film. I think other than that, unless there's any other stuff over on Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb, Aaron, we could probably jump right into this.
Yeah, there's nothing too crazy on there. So
all right, and we're gonna have you start today.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna be doing The Shining.
The Shining.
And then it's a great film. Please go watch it if you haven't.
Alrighty. So we start off and we meet Jack Torrance, who is a writer, but who's also an alcoholic. And he's interviewing for a job as caretaker for the Overlook Hotel after, trying to, like, he's been sober at this point for I think he says at 1.5 months.
Yeah. 4 or 5.
Yeah. But so he's trying to get his shit back together, and he's got a case of writer's block, so he thinks this is a good opportunity to go and get some work done. Mm-hmm. So, excuse me. But yeah, he's also very like hot-headed.
Yeah,
he's got a temper.
You can tell right off the bat, like, once like he's finding the interview with Mr. Ullman and stuff. I mean, he's a little wacky and whatnot, but as soon as he's in the car with his family, you know immediately this guy is fucking annoyed with his family, does not even want them there.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just kind of painful to watch.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so he's interviewing for this, like, you look at this hotel and it's isolated, it's in the mountains, mm-hmm. and it's creepy, but
you can actually go visit that hotel.
That would be cool to do. But so the guy that he's interviewing is he tells him, he's like, oh, you're gonna be stuck inside though the most of the time you're here, and be careful, you might get cabin fever. There's been an incident. There was an incident with the last caretaker. He chopped his family up, he went mad, but fails to mention like the other shit that's going on. Yeah,
I got a couple quotes here too. I think Mr. Ullman says tremendous amount of isolation, and then Jack, which is funny because Jack Nicholson, Jack Torrance. So it's like he's already like playing himself, sort
I
of.
know. Because his personality does come out at times.
Yeah. But in another one, he says that Jack says is 5 months of peace is just what I want, with that stupid shit-eating grin that he's got on too. It's great.
But it works so well for Jack Torrance's character because he's just got that like maniacal look.
Yeah, and like Jack has always had those eyebrows too that like stick up. And it's like, I'm a fucking maniac. You know,
he looks like his eyebrows would like he should have really bushy eyebrows that would just fucking flap for some reason. I don't know.
Like Batwing. Yeah, hilarious.
Just picturing it now.
Oh man.
So but. Anyways, he interviews, he gets the job, and we cut to back to his house where it's his wife, Wendy, and his son, Danny. And Danny, I believe, is talking to his imaginary friend, Tony. And he's like asking him, he's like, oh, do you think he's going to get the job? Do you think he's going to get the job? Am I getting ahead of myself?
No, you're right. You're right on track.
Because like I forgot.
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. But thing is, like, then Tony, his friend, tells him, "Oh, he already did. He's gonna ring your mother in a few minutes to let her know the news." And then, sure enough, the phone rings, and Wendy answers the phone. It's Jack, and he's got the job.
Yeah.
So.
And we get the vision of blood.
Oh yeah.
The twins.
The twins.
Come play with us, Danny.
Come play with us forever and ever. But so they're driving up to the hotel, and
well, before that too, is when Danny has the accident as well.
Oh right.
When the doctor has to come see him. I mean, it's something like really, really minute, but that's when we get the conversation with the doctor and Wendy saying that Jack, during one of his binges with drinking and being upset, Danny knocked over papers and pulled his arm and dislocated his shoulder.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's the reason why he's sober now. But yeah, that's pretty much all that's really going on at that point. But then yeah, you can carry away from it there from when they're going up.
All right, but yeah, so that's the backstory on why he's sober and all that fun stuff. So they arrive at the hotel and they meet head chef Dick Halloran. But he ends up he realizes that Danny has the shine. So, and that he can, read minds or, hear conversations and communicate with other telepathic people. But
I've always loved that idea of, like, there are people in the world that are like that. They're not necessarily like, psychics or anything like that.
Yeah.
They just have this connection with one another through some sort of like strain. And I really want to push this on people. If you want to go even further in depth with the whole shine thing, obviously read Dr. Sleep and watch the movie. I love the book and I love the movie, but read all of the Dark Tower books, because there's a lot more to Stephen King's books and movies than you think, and they're all intertwined in the Dark Tower series. Everything is part of a universe or different realms. Like Pennywise is in it. If you haven't seen the Dark Tower movie, they made one which kind of already shows a lot of the stuff when they go into the world of the Dark Tower, and we meet the gunslinger and all that stuff. He's walking and he has his horse and he goes by a it's like a carnival, like wagon, and it has Pennywise the dancing clown on it. And he's going through all this stuff, and it's really cool. Now I'm kind of going off a little bit right now, but I love this series. I got to go and finish reading the books. I've read most of them, but there's a tier in the our world and their world, and the Man in Black kind of uses it to his advantage and starts bringing things over. And that's why like every single like movie or book or even a Shining is part of it. The shit that's happening in the Overlook is something that is represented from the other side that is coming over to fuck with reality. Same with Pennywise. That's why he's here. Like Maximum Overdrive was another one. Carrie is another one. Everything is linked in that book series, and I want them to make more movies, but I don't think they're going to, unfortunately. But it's really interesting to know that Stephen King has this kind of grand plan for all of his books.
That's crazy.
You know, it's great. So I really do suggest go read all of them. They're great. They're great, and you're going to be really surprised of like what you'll find in those books that you are familiar with already. But go on.
I have to go do that now.
Yes, there's like 7 or 8 books.
Jeez.
But they're really good. They're really good.
Commitment.
It is, but it's really good. It's very good.
But anyways,
I think we're talking about Dick.
Oh yeah. So Dick realizes that Danny has the shine, and he talks to him in his head, and he asks him if he wants some ice cream.
And also, you like lamb, Doc?
You like lamb? No.
How did you know we call him Doc? What? You just called him Doc a second ago. Sometimes Jack and I call him Doc. And then Dick's like,
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
He just looks like a doc.
He just looks
What's up, Doc?
I love it. Love it.
So, but then, excuse me. Then he tells him all about this gift and refers to it as Shining. That, you know, the communication that they're having, like this telepathic conversation. So he tells him all about the hotel, but kind of mentions that something had happened, but like without getting into detail.
It's just like bits of things that are here, but like they're here, but they're not here. They just left traces of themselves, which is really kind of scary to think of, like thinking of something like that around here, like a trace of something evil or bad. I mean, I think he even says like sometimes they're not all bad, but there are good ones. But just like, it's a scary thought, especially if you're in this place where something has happened and you're there for like 5 months, like they are. It's very uneasy.
And I love how he describes it as if someone burnt toast.
Burnt toast. Yeah, that's really good. That's a good one.
So Danny asks him about room number 237, and he gets kind of defensive about it. He's like, that's none of your business. You have no business up there. You shouldn't even be up there. Don't worry about it. Nothing happened in there.
Are you scared of 237? No. Why would I be afraid of that? Just stay away.
So, but he knows he's like, that shit went down though. He senses it, and
plus the guy works there.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, he's seen everything.
Yeah. So excuse me. But yeah, so he tries to tell him that all these pictures, these flashes that he's seeing, he's like, they're just like pictures in a book. And that they can't hurt him, and you know, nothing's real, and he's just imagining it basically.
Some things are from the past, some things are from now, and some things are from the future. So he sees everything. That's a lot to take on, especially when you're a kid,
like
knowing what the fuck's going on at all. And hearing this from somebody you've never known, and then realizing, wow, so I do have a gift. I don't like this gift.
Yeah, right? Take it back. Meanwhile, Jack, though, is starting to unwind a little bit in his brain. But once everybody, you know, Dick leaves and everything, he starts to experience his writer's block. He isn't sleeping. He's pissed off all the time. And Danny starts having more visions of the two twins of the girls. They
pop up a lot throughout this movie before you like actually like
know who they are in the story. Who the Grady girls. But he doesn't say anything to anybody. He just keeps it to himself, even though he's like fucking scared shitless every time it happens.
Yeah. I mean, like, what are you gonna say? You're a kid. You already have an imaginary friend, and like your parents are kind of like, well, your mom's like, oh, that's fine, it's just a friend. But your dad is like, he's afraid of his father. Clearly, every time he has to interact with him for anything, he's like, afraid something's gonna happen. So why bring that up when he's obviously just gonna think that you're crazy? Your mom was probably just gonna say, oh, no, it's fine, it's just, active imagination, as they say. It's a lot, and I really do feel for Danny throughout this whole movie.
Yeah, right.
Especially, when we get later on where Danny's just literally not even there anymore.
Yep.
I have a really good quote here that I like that Jack says, and it really kind of sums up just how messed up it all is. Because everybody, is kind of already uneasy. Wendy already said that she's like, at first I was really scared of this place. Danny already knows what's going on, and then Jack just says, I fell in love with it right away. It's like, you just know that it's feeding off of whatever he has inside of him. And that's what's making things, I think, escalate more. It's because it's already feeding off of hatred. If I had to think, whatever.
So when he came in with like his, that negative energy.
Yeah, the day one when he came in from that, when he came in for an interview, I think it already kind of sensed what they could thrive off, and that's why you see throughout the movie more things start popping up. It's because it's thriving off of what I think is his anger and sort of insanity.
And that's like his like brain just kind of not breaking down, but like now it's like his sanity. Yeah, like you said, just vanishing essentially.
Yeah, and just like everything else is kind of taking over, and also Danny being there is kind of also, I think, like accelerating things.
Yeah.
Because he can really be there and really touch the things that he sees in his mind, and it kind of comes to fruition because Jack starts to see things too, obviously, and then he's able to, interact with them. And then it takes a long time for Wendy to get there because she's so level-headed and here on Earth and just focusing on her family. But as soon as she starts breaking down more, the hotel starts to really come after her. And that's why you don't see her seeing things like we were saying, the fucking bear, the dude in the suit. She doesn't see any of that stuff until the very end.
Gets to her,
or like seeing the whole goddamn like hotel literally like a fucking tombstone with like there's like bones and shit everywhere. She doesn't see any of that, and I think she really, I'm jumping ahead, but the blood is what really sets it over the edge of her knowing that I'm fucking crazy, or whatever's going on here is feeding off of whatever is going on, and she knows.
And like Jack's anger. And
it's fucking crazy. And then I think we get it to the point where they're going through the maze, right? I think.
Yep. So Wendy and Danny, it's not snowing yet at this point, so it's still nice out, and they're settling in, but they decide to go through this giant maze that the Overlook Hotel has, and they end up playing a game, and they find their way through the maze. And so Danny knows this maze. Keep that in mind later.
Yep.
But
the kid's fucking smart. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, right.
He's smart as shit, man.
So then I think that's this is the part when he goes in and he's like looking for his fire truck, and he goes up to Danny. Jack, and he's
is that this is a long fucking movie. Let me see. I have him try. I can take it over for right now if you want, Aaron. So I have it. I like also the one thing I like is that they kind of give you a time frame of like what's going on.
Yeah, with the days.
It's Tuesday, so now we're on Tuesday, and Danny's was triking around on his little trike a little bit, and then he stumbles across room 237, and then out of curiosity he gets off of the bike and almost opens up the door and then goes away. And then Jack is finally writing, as we can see, and then Wendy keeps stopping in, and then you can see him getting very annoyed, and obviously not wanting to be disturbed while doing it.
Yeah, but you could be less of a fucking dickhead about it.
I know, and like he starts like flipping out at her, and then he says,
"Let's see her face," and just you feel bad.
It's like she's just checking up on you, wants to have a connection with you. This is good bonding time. Obviously, she knows you're there to do the writing and also to take care of the hotel. This is the whole reason why you guys were doing it. But I have a quote here after he was like kind of telling her to like fuck off. He says, "Why don't you start right now and get the fuck out of here?"
Yeah.
And this like completely just throws and just like breaks her spirits and everything. And if you were to say that to somebody, would you feel bad? I would.
Yeah.
I would feel awful.
I would immediately feel bad.
Or if someone said that to you when you were just checking up on them, I'd be like,
But he had no remorse about it too. He was just like, "Fuck you, get out of my face."
It's just like, as I was saying before, you kind of already know that he was really annoyed with his family.
Mm-hmm. Probably because he's sober too, though.
Yeah, I understand that. He's probably, cold turkey and whatnot and not getting proper help.
But that's not an excuse, though.
It's not. You got to speak up and talk, You can't just fucking do shit. And then we get an iconic stare I put here that I think it's snowing out and they're doing stuff, and then Jax is sitting at the window with the blank stare, and it's just all blue and dark on him, knowing that shit's about to start like accelerating. And then we get a little bit more maintenance with Wendy walking around on Saturday of trying to get the phones up and running. And they're not working, so then she goes to use the radio that was in Mr. Ullman's room and walkies up to the station and asking him about the phone lines and say, yeah, well, they're down right now because of the storm and whatnot. The guy's really nice, just making sure they're covering all the bases. And she's like, yeah, I guess that's about it. But then he says, you want to make sure, I think it'll be a good idea to keep your radio on at all times from now on. Kind of foreshadowing some shit that may or may not happen. Mm-hmm. And then we get, I think, another very iconic shot is when Danny starts to trike around more, and we finally interact with the girls at the end of the hallway.
Yep.
And they say, Danny, come play with us. Come play with us, Danny. Forever and ever. And then he starts getting the flashes of them being brutally like killed in the hallway.
And I feel like too in this movie, even before like you see it, you just know that scene. So like when you see him triking around, like is it where there's multiple like instances of them going around that you're just waiting for them to pop up. I
think the sound design during the triking parts is very good. That's good suspense. That's very good because the carpet and then the wood floor, then the carpet, then the wood floor, then the carpet, then the wood floor.
Just the plastic.
It's great. I think that is what I really love about this film. Out from the sound design, out of the music, that is what sticks with me the most.
Silence is the best. No, not even silence, but like,
just the little things.
Natural sounds.
Natural sounds of somebody just going
through
around.
A hotel.
And now this is the fire truck scene. Right. So now Wendy and Danny are in, I guess, like the main lobby, just kind of chilling, watching TV. I'm surprised the TVs are still working. Even though the phone lines are down, but maybe because it was a satellite. It must have been like a satellite dish back then, right?
Maybe. Yeah, I'm sure.
But it's snowing really bad now. You see like the outside shots of like the snow in front of doors and like on the side of the buildings, which is pretty nuts. But he asks his mom, can I go get my fire truck from the room? And she's like, I don't know if that's a good idea, Danny. Your dad's sleeping right now, and I really don't want you to wake him. He just fell asleep. He's like, well, come on, Mom. I'll be quiet. I promise. I won't wake him. So she's like, oh, all right, as long as you come back, because I'm about to go make lunch. And he's like, okay, Mom. But Danny goes and, opens up the door very softly and very quietly. He opens up, and then we get Jack just sitting in bed. Not even asleep.
just sitting there.
And then he says to Jack, Daddy, I'm just gonna go grab my fire truck. Is that okay? He's like, no, Danny, come here. And then that's when you can see just how much Danny does not like his dad at all. His body language immediately is just, I don't want to be here. I want to get my truck and go.
Fucking leave, yeah.
But Danny starts asking questions and like, do you like it here? And Danny says, I guess. And then Jack says, I want you to like it here. Very ominous and very like kind of crazy sounding. But his voice right now is it's trying to be subtle and somber, but it's very creepy and eerie.
You can tell too, the way Danny like responds to him.
Yeah,
because you hear the fear in his voice. He's just like,
and even
like, he's like, yes.
Like Jack's holding him too, and his shoulders are like, up
he's
to his head,
and
he's just like, I don't want to be here. But then Danny asks Jack, are you gonna kill Mummy and Daddy? I mean, are you gonna kill Mummy and me? And he says, no. Why did you say that? And he was like, I don't know. I was just wondering. And Jack's like, did your mom say that? He's like, no. He's like, okay. So then he kind of just goes and plays with his cars. Then we cut to Wednesday, where Danny is in the middle of the I guess it's the lobby again. There's a lot of like shots of the lobby, and he's just playing with his cars, and a ball just rolls over, and then he looks up, and 237 is right there, open with a key. Whoa. Just in there. And what does Danny do? He goes in there, and it's all downhill from here. This is when it starts picking up. This is maybe around the 50 to an hour mark, I want to say, is when it starts picking up. So it's kind of like a slow burn, sort of, up until now. There is definitely action. That all the acting is great. The scenery is great. It really keeps you locked in until the music fucking just pops in randomly to kind of draws you out a little bit. But sometimes it's really good, and they do a very good job of using the music. But Danny goes in to the room, and then we cut to Wendy. I guess she's checking the breakers or whatever is like.
Oh yeah. All the switches and shit.
I think those are the breakers.
All the gauges and
so she she's got her checkboard and whatnot, and then she just hears screams. She's like, what the fuck? And then runs over into where Jack is writing, and he's asleep, screaming like something bad is really happening. And Wendy wakes him up, and then Jack says, I dreamt that I killed you and Danny, which is funny because the day before, or 2 days before, Danny asked, are you going to kill Mummy and me? And he said no, and now he's dreaming it because, like I said, I think the hotel kind of feeds off of the negativity and like the bad,
like vibes.
Yeah, and also I think another reason why it's doing it is because earlier on, if you remember, Mr. Ullman said that it was built on an Indian burial ground.
Never a good start.
I mean, they don't really go too much into it other than like, Wendy was like asking, are these like all authentic, like, Indian artifacts and stuff? And like, yeah.
Imagine this. Okay, hear me out. It's a little off topic, but
it's okay.
So you said in the Dark Tower that all these worlds come into one, like they'll kind of like feed like into each other. Yeah. What if it's the same? Like this is a different like say reality where it's the same Indian burial grounds that the Pet Cemetery was on, but instead of the hotel.
I think the hotel is in the book, I think, or it's like a version of it or something that's it's
just so many like
I think it's a version of the hotel or something like that, if I remember. Someone can correct me in the comments or whatever. Let me know if I'm just like saying shit here, but I think it's a version of the hotel that's in the Dark Tower, or like some sort of evil spirit that was put there. Or it could have been Indian burial ground. I don't really remember exactly.
I have to go and do a rabbit hole later and do some research.
There's definitely videos on YouTube that you can go and just like Google, and they'll just let you know everything. There's a few comic books that were made for the Dark Tower 2 that were pretty recent, that were really, really good. That also do a very good job of explaining things. But yeah, if you have downtime and you want to read something, read the Dark Tower series, because it's great. I think it's Stephen King's best work, in all honesty. But yeah, back to The Shining. They're kind of talking, and we see Danny from behind, and a long view of them kind of talking from far away. Wendy's telling Danny, "Oh, go upstairs, honey. Daddy's not feeling well right now. I'll be up there." But Danny's just walking, and you can kind of see his shirt's ripped.
Oh, yeah, and his like collar all pulled up. And...
Yeah, and then Wendy starts walking up to Danny because she's from far away. I guess you can't really see what's going on, which is understandable. It's kind of a big room. Then she walks up to him and sees that his neck is bruised.
He's like sucking his thumb, and
he's like diverted back to like a 1-year-old essentially. Like his mind is just cut off right now, and this is when Danny is no longer Danny, is when it starts kind of going off. But Wendy, from previous events that have happened with Jack and Danny, she says to Jack, "You did this, didn't you? You did this." And he's just sitting there. I didn't. He's like, "No." Well, he says like after,
No,
no, I didn't do it. But she was thinking, because he just said, "I dreamt that I killed you and Danny." So obviously her mind's gonna think,
that he hurt him.
Yeah, so it's like, "You did this to him." No, I fucking didn't. And then this is also when Jack kind of goes down the rabbit hole. But Aaron, I'll let you take it from here. This is the bar scene.
Oh, so he's upset about her accusing him of hurting their son. So he's kind of storming around, kicking the air, punching the air, and mumbling to himself.
I mean, I would be too if I was falsely accused of something, I guess. But I mean, he kind of did it to himself from previously hurting Danny.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a history, so but he ends up finding himself in the Gold Ballroom, where he decides to sit at an empty bar. He's looking around, and no bottles inside, nothing. It's just like a ghost town in there. Yeah,
because I said before that they take all the liquor off of the, I guess, the site for something for money, I think, that lowers the cost or something like that. So, there's no liquor or anything at all in the hotel.
Yeah. So, he's sitting at the bar, and he's just talking to himself. He's like, "Oh, I would sell my soul for a glass of beer right now."
Yeah.
He looks.
I thought I quoted that, but I guess not. Go ahead.
So.
Oh yeah, I did. So he says, "I'd do anything for a drink, even my soul, just a goddamn beer."
Yeah. So then he looks up and he sees a bartender.
The shit-eating grin he's got there.
I know, he just. It's like,
"Hi, Lloyd.
Fuck.
A little slow tonight, isn't it?"
I don't know, just so casually. But,
like nothing is wrong, just like.
Yeah, right. And then suddenly is a full bar stocked up, and but he orders scotch, and he's like, "Oh, here, listen, I got 2 20s and 2 10s in my wallet. Leave a bottle of scotch with a glass and some ice."
Yeah.
And I'll keep knocking them back. But so he pours him his drink, he takes a shot, and he's officially not sober anymore, sane anymore.
No, like this is the part where I think the hotel finally leached onto him, because right now all we see is Jack and Lloyd, nobody else.
Yep.
Nothing. It's a slow build up, but for Jack kind of feeding into whatever this entity is, or whatever this hotel is, really.
Yeah.
Is where it starts really gaining more power from him, and also Danny, Danny also kind of, escalated things from going into the room and seeing the lady who we are about to see very soon that I know Aaron's going to get to. But it's just really interesting to see how just little things like this start planting more seeds for more things to happen. And then you start to get kind of confused of like when the time frame is, especially at the end.
Yeah.
But it's great. I love the slow buildup of insanity that this fucking movie is,
Yeah. You just see like the downward spiral of Jack.
Yep.
But so yeah, he drinks his whiskey, and then he sorry. But he's talking to Lloyd. He's telling him, about what's going on with his life and all that. And he's talking about the time he dislocated Danny's shoulder. Talking shit about his wife. If she already ruined my fucking life. She's not doing it anymore. And I hate how much he fucking blames her for
women. Can't live with them. Can't live without them.
And he's just like, you said it.
Yeah.
But so anyway, yeah, so he talks about this injury, and but he's sorry. Yeah, so then immediately he decided to quit drinking, but then he was only sober for 5 months, and he broke his sobriety right then and there.
But if you think about it, wouldn't the drink be not there? But then you also think that, it is there because Danny was already able to tangibly touch something and get abused by something. So that's another thing that makes you think of like the hotel shows you what it wants, I guess, and what you're allowed to touch. So it's like almost like a veil, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like a veil that it lifts up at certain times
when it wants you to be able to.
Yeah, and just take a little bit from you and then allow you to indulge in its monstrosity, really.
Yeah.
This movie has a lot of shit to it, and I know the book kind of goes from what I remember like way more into detail of like what happens, and obviously the miniseries does more than what this movie does. So if you can get a chance to at least watch the miniseries, if you own it, I'm jealous of you. But if anybody knows a way for us to watch this, please let me know, because I want to watch the miniseries really badly.
Yeah, but so then Wendy enters, and she's kind of panicking, and
with a fucking bat.
Yeah, she's got her baseball bat in hand, and she sees him at the bar sitting alone, and she's begging him to, go check out room 237, because Danny's claimed that he was attacked and got, choked by some crazy woman in there. She's like, we're not alone in but then Jack, who's drunk out, we don't really know. He decides, he's like, I'll go check it out.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
Is what he says at first.
Yeah, it's more of a Jack response.
Yeah. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Such an asshole. Then so he goes to check out 237, and he goes into the room, and then you see Danny, who's in his own room, it looks like he's having a seizure. He's kind of like just sitting up and like shaking, and
poor kid, man.
Yeah. But then we cut to Dick, who's at his own house in Florida, and then he kind of picks up on something that a message that Danny is sending, and
his face is just like he's just not there. I also love how he's got like the pictures of the naked women on the wall, and they keep having to show those. It's like you don't got to, but okay. But yeah, he knows that something's deeply wrong.
Yeah, so
it's got that shine.
The shine. But meanwhile, Jack, he's heading towards 237, and and then he gets there. He goes into the room, and it's empty. then he ends up looking into the bathroom where he sees a young woman taking a bath. She opens the curtain. She gets out. She's all seductively, kind of lures him in. They embrace each other and start kissing, and
this twist.
So then he actually happens to glance over at the mirror and realizes she is actually a rotting corpse.
Yeah, a zombified old lady.
Yeah. He looks up, sees a zombie.
Yeah, the little laugh that she does is so good.
It's terrifying.
And he's like, oh, I'm out of here, man.
Yep. So he starts backing up. He's he leaves the room, shuts the door, locks it. And
which that must have been the wife of Grady, right?
I would assume so, yeah.
That's what I've always thought.
Yeah, it has to be.
Because we already saw the girls, we saw the wife. We haven't seen Grady yet, but we're about to.
Mm-hmm. So then he goes back to Wendy. He says that he didn't see anything. He's like, not a damn thing. He's like, you're fucking crazy. So
Wendy, I gotta tell you, I think he did it to himself.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's not too far off from the accident that he pulled before we came here.
We got a little confrontation. He's doing that voice.
He's got, oh my God.
And he's like asking her, he's like, what should we do with Danny? What should we do with Danny? She's like, I think we should take him to the doctor. And he's like, well, when should we do that? And she's like, as soon as possible. And he just starts getting fucking like closer and but he starts getting like more and more like irritated and blaming her for everything that's gone wrong with his life, and just being a fucking dickhead as always.
Yep, and decides to fucking leave the room.
Yep. But so oh, sorry, I don't know, let's quick this a little bit. And then he said they can't leave the hotel. And then he
signed a contract.
He signed a contract.
You understand what I'm doing?
But he's like, I need this and blah blah blah, all that shit. But so he storms out and he goes back to the gold room to sit at the bar. Which this time it's full of people. There's a big party going on.
Yeah, he like goes on a hallway. He's like, there's like balloons and shit. He's like, huh? Oh, all right. Guess I'll keep going.
Yeah, he doesn't even question it. But then
he's too fucking far gone.
So, he goes to the party, and it's like looks like it's like the 1920s or all.
Definitely early.
Yeah. But he gets a drink from Lloyd, and he's walking through all the crowd, the people, but then a butler with a tray runs into him. He spills a drink on his jacket, and he's like, he insists on cleaning his jacket. So they go into the bathroom, and it's like a brightly colored bathroom. I guess some like Dario Argento like vibes.
Yeah,
like the color.
Stanley's always kind of been like that too. He I feel like he kind of like, I don't really want to say that he's like the Dario Argento of like English or like American cinema, but he definitely has kind of like almost a similar film style as Dario.
Yeah,
I will always pick Dario over Stanley, even though I love A Clockwork Orange. But yeah, I see what you mean by that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're in the bathroom, and
I have such a good quote here.
Let me know.
That's all the way he says everything.
The butler introduced himself as Delbert Grady.
Ooh, the man himself.
And Jack remembers the story that Dick had told him about a former caretaker by the name of Grady murdering his family.
So I got the quote here. It's like, yeah, you were a caretaker here. He's like, I don't remember. He says, you chopped your wife and daughters up into little bits and blew your brains out.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I don't recall. I just love it. You chopped your wife and daughter up into little bits and blew your brains out.
Yeah, he's like, I don't recall, but you've always been the caretaker. And Jack's confused by that, but he just goes with it, and he's like, he brings up Danny. He says he has a great talent and he's using it to bring an outside party into the situation.
And then this is where the movie says the N-word like 3 or 4 fucking times.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's an older movie.
Yeah.
I guess we can give it a pass, even though we really shouldn't. But then again, it's just a movie.
And then I didn't think you could dislike Jack anymore, but then he's like, then when he mentions the fact that he's black, and he gets all, and he's like, yeah, we gotta get rid of this dude. And it's like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You're racist too?
I think that was added by Stanley, if I remember. I don't think Stephen wrote that stuff in the book.
Probably.
But maybe he did.
Dramatize it a bit.
Maybe he did. I don't know.
But so, and then he tells them that he needs to correct Danny and Wendy if she decides to get in the way.
Correct them.
So meanwhile, back in Florida, Dick has no trouble. He has trouble. Sorry, getting in touch with the hotel and calling. But he's worried about Danny because of the like cryptic message that he had sent through his mind, and he ends up getting the next flight to Colorado. But so we're back at the hotel, and Wendy's got her baseball bat, and she's going around looking for Jack. Set on leaving, taking Danny and leaving. Rather not. Jack wants to or not.
Yeah, and also I don't know if this was after or before, it's when we start getting the red rum yelling.
Oh yeah, red rum.
Yep, red rum, and then Wendy asks Danny, and then Tony, Danny's not here, Mrs. Torrance.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean, Danny? Wake up, Danny.
Danny's checked out. Danny's sleeping, Mrs. Torrance.
Danny's not here, Mrs. Torrance.
Yep. So. She's got her baseball bat. She's ready to leave. And she goes into the office or the lounge, wherever it is that Jack was writing, and finds a stack of papers typed on next to his typewriter. She decides to see what he's been writing about, and it's just hundreds of pages of one sentence, all typed in like different, like slightly different like spelling, and like
it's kind of made like a book.
Yeah,
it's how it's like arranged, which is really cool. And I was thinking about this, like, I wonder how many people they had them just type this over and over again.
Right. You can see some typos in it too.
Yeah.
But it's just pages and pages of one sentence.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yep. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Danny's not here, Mrs. Torrance.
But she realizes that he's fucking insane at this point.
Literally.
And he comes up behind her and he's like, "How do you like it?"
Yeah. Oh crap! There was actually one quote I did want to put in when Dick was on the phone.
Oh yeah.
And it's when he has to convince the guy to get the snowcat and stuff.
Oh,
He's like, "Oh, why do you need it?" It's like, well, the people up there turned out to be unreliable. They turned out to be completely unreliable assholes. It's like, oh, okay, all right, yeah.
He doesn't even question. She's like, okay.
Yeah, you got it, man. I love it.
Yep. So Jack comes up behind her. He's like, "What do you like it?" She's obviously scared. She's startled by that, and
this is, I think, her best moment of the whole film, of just how, scared she is and how much she's trying to fight for Danny and herself, and also just how afraid she is of Jack, and really showing it for the first time, because obviously she's already been kind of afraid of him.
Yeah, but she was still like, she still loved him and was trying
to break through, get through the mold and kind of salvage what was left, but he wasn't having it. He's gone, and the hotel has changed him even more, and it's like I said, it's kind of changed everybody who's been there. It's gotten Wendy to the point to where she can stand up for herself and be the heroine of this story. Yeah.
And maybe it goes back to, like, remember when Dick was telling Danny about the hotel, he said some good things, some bad things. You know what I mean? So exactly. Like, she got she kind of benefited out of it in certain ways, not necessarily, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But like Jack maybe may have been more vulnerable because he was so fucking he was sober and depressed.
I wonder if Dick knew at the time that this was going to happen, or unless it had to have waited when he was in bed and he finally saw it. Maybe some time needed to pass for him to kind of get that feeling. I don't know, because Danny was the main reason why he was getting all that. So I guess he had to wait for Danny to get to a certain point of like actually not being there anymore. You know?
But so they end up in kind of an argument where he wants to know, you know, why what she's doing, like why she wants to leave with Danny, and she's backing off.
Maybe we should take him to a doctor.
Yeah, he's like, what do you want to do with Danny? What should we do with him? She's like, I don't know what you mean. She's fucking terrified, backing up the stairs, baseball bat in hand.
She's also like, I'm very confused.
Yeah.
That would be too. It's like, what's going on here? You know? And
he's just like pushing, like cornering her and just asking her questions. And she's like, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. He goes, oh, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your fucking brains.
Yeah, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in. I'm going to bash them right the fuck in. And then she's like, ah! And then bonks him on the head, and he goes falling down. Oh, I love it. He's like, oh.
Yep.
One
breaks his ankle.
One little like whack to the head. That was a heavy hit too.
Right. So then she drags. He's knocked out, and she drags him into the pantry and locks him in there. But he starts waking up as she's like struggling to unlock it, and he sees what's going on, but he can't really process. He's like, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And it almost seems like he's like Jack again at that point. Because he was like,
he was slightly out of it just enough until whatever was going on kind of got him again.
Yeah.
So maybe if she hit him just a little bit harder,
knock some sense into him, literally,
he would have been okay, you know.
But so
hey, I wouldn't have mind just getting stuck in the pantry, but
free food. I know. Do you see all that shit in there? But she locks him in the pantry as he starts to wake up, and he's like, she's like, I'm gonna go call the Rangers. I'm gonna get the snowmobile, or it's not the snowcat. He's like, oh, you got a surprise waiting for you when you go to check the radio on the snowcat. And he had taken out all the fuses or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I love the other thing is like when he's trying to convince Wendy to outside the door. He's like, Wendy, baby, I think you hurt my head real bad.
Oh, yeah, he's like,
I'm busy. I think I need a doctor. It's like, oh my god, just no. Yeah, I feel so bad for Wendy at this point because she's literally panicking. Goes to check out like the snow cat and stuff, and it's all fucking destroyed.
Yep.
I could take it for a little bit if you want, Aaron.
Okay.
So it's now 4 p.m. of the same day, and Jack was taking a nap, and then he gets woken up by a knock on the door, and it's Grady on the other side. We don't see Grady; we just hear his voice. So this is another thing of me kind of like thinking that the hotel is alive in some sort of way. That maybe these people that he's seeing aren't really there, but it's making it tangible, like, you know, bringing the veil up or whatever. And kind of Grady's criticizing Jack. It's like, well, you're not able to do the duty like I asked you to. You can't finish this. It's like, no, give me one more chance and I can do it. And then he unlocks the door. And he escapes. And then Dick is now on his way in a snowcat. Then we cut to Wendy, who, you know, is promptly asleep, like she should be. I would be too. Would be exhausted. You know, in her mind, everything is okay right now. He's locked away. Nothing can get him out or anything, because she doesn't fully know what's going on. But then we get more of the red rum of Danny.
Red rum.
Yelling red rum, and he grabs the knife that Wendy I'd grab, which is a huge fucking knife, by the way.
Can we talk? That's like a slicing knife, though. It's not going to have a pointy
it's a bread knife. It's literally a bread knife. I thought at first Danny was using it to cut his hand to write it.
Right, yeah.
But he grabbed lipstick instead and writes the red rum. And right now it's Tony that's doing that. But as he continues to keep saying red rum, he hears Dan's voice kind of come back, which is I think, his best performance on this, but how he's able to control his voice and kind of bring himself back to actual Danny, like being both sides.
Switching between two characters.
It's a very, very strong part of the movie. And Danny's now conscious and knows what's happening. Wendy wakes up, screams, and then just screams even more when she looks into the mirror and sees that the red rum on the door spells out murder, I always thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And so is this supposed to be like the ghost warning him to warn her, or not even, or just him, like, the shine,
and him, something like that, because as soon as she sees that, Jack's fucking axing down the door.
Yeah.
And is it that door that he's axing down? No, it's the front door, right?
Like the entrance.
So the front door of the quote-unquote apartment that they call it. And he's axing down the door, and Wendy takes Danny to run into the bathroom. And as Jack knocks down the door, he goes, "Wendy, I'm home." Like, go fuck yourself, man. And then Wendy opens up. There's like a little teeny tiny window in the bathroom where Danny is able to kind of sneak out because he's small. But Wendy tries to do it, even though she's really skinny. She's not able to
fit through there, though.
I think so too. I do. But this is the part that we were talking about earlier that was kind of like Shelley Duvall didn't really know what was really going to happen.
Yeah.
From what I remember from the scenes and stuff that I have watched, I think there's also a documentary on this film. I forget what the hell it's called. I think it's just called The Overlook or something like that. Where they go even more behind the scenes. But he starts hacking off the door, and she has her knife, and he opens it enough where we get the other iconic scene, in quote, "Here's Johnny," which where the fuck is Johnny coming from? So is he maybe taking possession of somebody else that has done this before? I never really thought of it too much, but maybe all these things are going on is that he's reliving
like experiences that happened.
Yeah, like everything else that's happening. So this is why the hotel's like feeding him more and kind of
manifesting through him.
Yeah, he is their puppet essentially, doing the things that they can't do themselves because they're not really there. But just as he's about to fully knock down the door, they both hear the snowcat outside, and it's Dick. And they're like, "Huh?"
Dead silence. They're both listening.
Yeah. So Jack walks away, leaves Wendy alone, because Jack knows who it is because Grady told him who it was going to be.
Yeah.
Poor Dick, man. He walks in just asking, like, "Hello, anybody here? Anybody here?" But we see Jack, kind of hiding. And we just follow Dick for a little bit. You don't really know what's going to happen, but you know.
Yeah.
You know exactly what's going to happen. I think this is maybe... You got something?
I found something, as I was reading through this. In fact, here's Johnny. It was a reference to The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson in 1962.
Oh, so it wasn't an actual...
I didn't know that.
Okay, so I learned something. I was really hoping it was like a part of something else that happened at the hotel. Though I think it would have made it even more interesting. But okay,
that's still pretty. That's funny though.
I like it. But Dick's just walking around, and I think we get our first like jump scare of the film.
Yeah.
Of when Jack just comes out and freaking axes him right in the chest, like, dude. He's down for the count immediately. And this is when you can see Jack is truly transcended into what they wanted.
Yeah.
Because he's got the blood on him, and it's like, you did it. You did one of the things we asked you to do.
So now he's all in.
Now you are our puppet, literally.
There's no going back.
Nope. And now is when we get the chase scene of, I believe, Danny and Jack. They're out in the maze, or at least, Jack knows that he's in the maze. He turns on all the lights and starts running out. And then Wendy is also like, "Oh, fuck, Danny." And then she's going and running around the whole hotel. And this is when she starts seeing things. So they're making her be aware of everything that's happening because it's already kind of escalated to the point where there's no return, really.
Yeah. So they're like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yep. So she's running around and then she sees two dudes in a bedroom, like getting off or whatever the fuck they're doing in there. And then she runs down into like the dining room area and just sees skeletons and just remains of a party, cobwebs, and then the blood that she sees. And then that's when she runs out. And this is when Danny starts acting really smart. Also, she finds Dick on the ground is another thing that kind of goes with all that, and she runs. But Danny is running, and he knows that Jack is behind him, and he hears him say, "I'm right behind you. I'm gonna get you." But then he realizes, "Fuck! I'm leaving footprints." So the kid. He runs to a certain point and then starts walking backwards, like he's like putting his feet into the steps that he did, so he can get to a point where he can just rub them off. And then once Jack gets confused, he waits for Jack to go the opposite direction, and then he follows his footsteps back
out of the maze,
which is awesome. And during this whole time,
think of that shit.
in this moment, no, I don't think I would either. And this is when you kind of see Jack losing momentum. He's fucking freezing to death, obviously. He's barely wearing anything. He's using all of his energy.
His broken ankle.
Yeah. So Danny makes it out. Wendy comes out. They got the snowcat. They get in the snowcat. they leave, essentially. And then we kind of get ended with the iconic Frozen scene of Jack just like, I don't even know how you made that face.
He just looks so grumpy. He's just
like, they made it out. And then the actual final scene is the zoom to the pictures on the wall.
Oh yeah.
And we see Jack there, and it's of the
1921 July 4th party.
For some reason, I always thought it was a New Year's party, but yeah, the July 4th ball, 1921. And it's like, what? So you kind of get confused with that.
It's like he reincarnated or something like that through the hotel.
Yeah, it's so crazy. He's like, no wonder why,
he's part of the hotel.
Yeah, I guess that's maybe what happens. He kind of gets sucked into whatever that was, maybe.
And then or maybe it's just like, him like going fully insane and just accepting.
Does IMDb say anything about it?
Let's see, actually.
I need to reread the book.
Right before the end credits, the camera slowly zooms in on the wall in the hotel full of old photographs that chronicle the hotel's history. An old recording of midnight, the stars and you echoes in the empty hallway. In the center of one picture is a young Jack. The caption reads, "Overlook Hotel, July 4th Ball, 1921. Let's see if I can find anything on the
trivia, maybe?
Yeah.
We're gonna do one quick dive on IMDb just to see.
Where's trivia? Oh. There we go.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of trivia, so maybe not. I need to reread the book, or at least just the ending of it, to see what Stephen King's idea was for all this. But if I had to interpret it, it's just him being kind of sucked into that world, and then
just
now he's part of history. But rating, if I had to rate this, the music parts kind of take a big detriment to me throughout this film, so I'm definitely gonna knock it off a point for that. But I'm gonna give it, oh man, this is tough. I don't want to go too low and I don't want to go too high. I'm gonna give it like a 7.5. I don't know why I want to give it a 7.5. It just feels like a 7.5 movie to me after all the other stuff that we have watched. Obviously, all the acting is great. Jack is amazing, but I honestly think Shelley kind of steals the whole show.
Definitely.
Jack steals it, obviously, at the final act. But 7.5 blood splatters for me. What about you, Aaron?
So obviously this movie's a classic. Everybody knows the twins. Everybody knows, come and play with us. But no movie, again, as I always say, is not perfect. This is no exception. It is an enjoyable movie. And just going based off what I hear from comparisons from the book, like I said, I can't really comment on it because I haven't read the book, but there's some differences I've heard, but
yes.
I've seen this movie a handful of times and I've always enjoyed it. It is a little bit of a slow burn. I think it could be a little bit shorter, but honestly, though, it's situated itself in history of horror, but I don't think I would change anything, obviously. Well, maybe a little things, but I don't know, like the score and
definitely the music is something.
Yeah, I think you said 7.5. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna go 7.8.
7.8. Wow, we're going into
decimals.
Wow. All right. Yeah, it's a very enjoyable movie.
It is, but it's like
I don't want to make it seem like I'm ragging on it too much.
No, yeah. Like, I don't know, it's a good movie. It's,
if you want to see Jack Nicholson, maybe not at his best, but definitely one of his best performances, definitely watch this. And if you like Stanley Kubrick, then you guys obviously are going to love it. Yeah. Like I said, I love A Clockwork Orange. I love that film. People consider it a horror movie. I kind of consider it a horror movie. I think it's more of a psychological kind of, well, maybe not psychological, but more like a thriller. It's good. It's very unsettling, some of the music that they use in that. See, A Clockwork Orange, it uses music beautifully. Every time it has something in it, it's beautiful. The music either makes you feel good or it makes you feel very, very grossed out and like I want to throw up.
Yeah.
This movie, it's just kind of placed in random spots to be a filler, I like to think, and that's why I think the movie is like way longer than it needs to be. They probably could have cut down on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, 7.5. Definitely check it out. If you haven't seen this movie, then I don't know what to say to that. Did you find anything?
Not yet.
All right.
Yeah. I'll have to do some research later.
I always forget what the fuck we're doing the next week, so give me 1 second. I want to say, I think this one was starting to hit a lot of our Stephen King movies because I wanted to do that.
We're doing next week, I think.
It is the Pet Sematary, so the original, not the remake. We might touch on it a little bit.
Well, there'll be comparisons.
Yeah, we'll definitely, because we went to go see that together, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so wow, we have a lot of Stephen King movies. So we have Pet Sematary next week. Then we're doing It. I think I was planning on maybe doing the movie, but I have right here written down that maybe we'll throw in some miniseries stuff and also maybe touch on chapter 2. But we're going to mainly focus on the first, movie that came out in 2018. And then we have our special guest episode with Salem's Lot with the podcast in the woods with Boomer, which is good. Then we got Misery and then Firestarter. And that's pretty much the end of the road for the Stephen King stretch. So a lot of Stephen King shit. And no, it's good because I love Stephen King. There's obviously plenty more that we can do. This was, I think, a good way to kind of start off doing The Shining because it's a movie that everybody at least knows of. Don't think there's anything else I have to add to this. Aaron, what about you?
No, I don't think so. I think we just about covered everything. I mean, there's a lot more we could get into, but that would be
and
a 3-hour-long episode, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of episodes have been like almost like 3 hours,
Yeah.
But yeah, go watch this movie. Let us know what you guys think of it. Are you excited for the upcoming Stephen King movies they have going? Do you wish that we did different ones? I really want people to start,
give us feedback,
giving us more feedback and letting us know what you guys want us to talk about and what we should review. Because there's movies that I do want to review. It's just I don't know if it's the right time for it. This year has been a lot of heavy hitters and it's going great so far, but guest wise, download wise, and just everything that we have. Like, this year is literally stacked with so many good movies, and I'm excited. And I think next year we should probably go more obscure, weird shit.
Yeah.
So just stay tuned, guys. And I think that's about it. So this was the Bear Untitled podcast.
Doing The Shining.
I was your host, Dustin.
And I was your co-host, Aaron.
Thank you guys so much for, tuning in every single week and listening to us ramble, and also hearing my voice be blown at the end of every fucking episode lately. Don't know why that's happening, but it's all good because it's fun as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye-bye.